And now I'd like to talk to you about one of my hobbies after I retired. I retired as a school principal in New Bedford, but I was also a principal of a high school in Phoenix, Arizona. When I retired in 2005, with the encouragement of my late husband, I decided to write some of my memories down. So, having grown up in New Bedford, obviously I have a great love for the city. Everything about New Bedford is very special to me. I grew up in the West End. I actually wrote some of my stories about my growing up years. The first book that I wrote was called In Search of Chestnuts. It's about growing up in the West End of New Bedford. I had a wonderful childhood, lots of good memories, and it's a collection of poems and short stories about that time in my life. I also wrote a book about New Bedford. It's a children's book, and it's called, this one's very special to me, it's called A Seagull's View of New Bedford. I have to tell you this story. For anybody that has written anything, oftentimes an idea will come to us in our sleep, and that's exactly what happened. I had a dream, and everything that I wrote in this book was in my dream. So I got up, I always kept a pad of paper next to my bed, and I wrote it down exactly as I dreamed it. And when I got up in the morning, and I looked at it, I was like, oh, now I have to figure out how I'm going to illustrate this. And my husband was, one of his hobbies was he was an artist. And he said, look around the house. His paintings were everywhere. And he said, everything that you talk about in this book, I have a painting for. And I was like, wow. I talked about fugitive slaves. I talked about Frederick Douglass. I talked about the fishing boats. I talked about Center Street. Everything. I tried to cover everything that was important to me in New Bedford, and that would appeal to children. And that's the harbor. My husband did all of these lovely illustrations. At the end of the book, of course, the school teacher and me had to put vocabulary words. At the very end of the book is a song I wrote about New Bedford called New Bedford, My Home by the Sea. So this is a children's book. It's full color illustration. And as I mentioned, my mother's parents were immigrants from Cape Verde, so I wrote their story. I love storytelling, you can tell. My mother and father both told us lots of stories about their families and growing up, what it was like. So a lot of this was information given to me by my mother, but as a writer, I had to verify all of it, so I did a lot of research to document all of the things that are in here. And my most recent book, and my last, by the way, I'm not writing anymore. The book about my parents, my mother's immigrant family, struck a note with a lot of people, especially people who came from other areas that lived in here in New Bedford now. And so I picked 5 families. I wanted to have a diverse group represented. So I picked 5 families. One of them is not from here. One of them, they're a German-Mexican family from the Southwest. An Azorean family who came here from the Azores. A Polish-Austrian family from the area. And my late husband's Cape Verdean family. So I worked very closely with the families as I wanted to get everything right. I wanted to make sure that the facts matched the stories, and so it was a really a work of collaboration with the families. And I gave them full editorial rights, so I sent them lots and lots of manuscripts for them to check over and see if they needed. So there were a lot of corrections. So it's fairly accurate as far as I can tell. And I have had all the families look at it, and they agreed everything was accurate. So the stories are most interesting, all different, totally different, and yet there were some commonalities with all of the families, even from the family in the Southwest. There were some commonalities about hard work, values, family values, closeness of family. These were all common, very common things. So that's what I've been doing since my retirement. I have lots of hobbies. I write, I draw, I knit, and I'm enjoying my life right now. Coming to the senior center has just been wonderful. I'm in a social day program where I get to be around other people that are in our golden years, shall we say, and it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it.